for the 12th edition now of Coffee with Ashish. And today, we've got a very special guest from a very special company, actually, and I'll tell you later why it's a special company. But as always, before getting into conversation with our guest Rikant, you know, we have had on our sessions a lot of people who have built companies from scratch, a lot of B2C companies. We have had, people coming in from large OTAs, Yatra, Clear Trip. And if you look at, beyond these OTAs, even the Make My Trips, Go Ibibo, any or all of the, OTA B2C websites or apps or, meta search engines, if you look at, they're all large companies, but they all have typically one thing in common, that they have raised significant funding from venture capitalists and private equity firms, and they have used discounting as a integral tool in acquiring a lot of customers quickly, and they have grown into behemoths which they are. And even now, I keep talking to a lot of my IIT juniors, and they keep coming every day with some innovation that we are, Facebook plus Zoom plus Make My Trip on steroids, and then they're trying to raise funding with these kind of jazzy terms, and it's a whole new world around how you raise funding and how travel tech companies have grown using these funding rounds. And as always, I have a little cartoon to show you to capture the emotion. This is, I'm sure many of you read Dilbert. So this is very common to some of the conversation me and Ashish have with some young entrepreneurs, where they typically say, I need X $1,000 for my location-based social media, blah, 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 cloud startup for travel. And then the investor is basically saying, I'm giving you money because you spewed some buzzwords and not really understanding what that is and just hopping onto that trend. And the story, sad or unfortunately, doesn't stop here. And later on, when you are scaling up and you have a conversation with your venture capitalist that, we are actually losing money on every transaction. And the answer you get is, don't worry, we'll make it up on volume. And to increase volume, you need probably more capital. So that's a, never ending discussion and debate you get with your investors. And the reason I said that the company today we have is special is because, for reasons best known to them, and probably we'll, cajole Rikant to spill the beans. This is one company in the whole ecosystem which probably stands in the top three in terms of value and volumes, but they haven't raised a single penny from external investor. And the company we are talking about is My Trip, which you all have probably heard of. And it's run by three brothers, and we are lucky to have one of them with us today, Nishant, Prashant, and Rikant Pitti. Three co-founders run this organization, and it's very unique because they not only run this, they run host of other businesses, and they also are into movie production. So many of you must have heard or seen movies like Manikarnika, Fanne Khan, Basti Gul, Meeta Chalu. All these movies have been produced within the enterprise of these three brothers, and they have done that. And movies, as we know, we have talked in many sessions, is a key integral part of how travel is going to shape up. And Bollywood has been a key indicator of how, with offsite shooting, it's a big push for travel in India. And quickly to run through why is My Trip is so unique, despite raising not even a single penny for venture capitalists. They are now the third largest OTA we have in the country. They have a GMV this year close to $1 billion. It's growing almost 50% year on year for last 3 years. It's been always profitable for last 12 years. Profitability is a word you seldom hear when you have conversation with OTAs. I know I have never heard anybody talk about profitability. It's always a future at the end of the tunnel. You talk about profitability, but this is one company we have that's been profitable year on year for last 12 years. 100% promoter owned, skin in the game by the promoters, zero leveraged, asset light, no external debt on the company, and it's profitable without charging convenience fee. That makes it almost too good to be true, Rikant, and almost sounds like magical. And I know you guys have been trying to also IPO, And I think a lot of people are going to lap onto this opportunity to have get exposure and invest in a company which is called zero debt, no external pressures, completely profitable, and doing these kind of values and volumes. And in FY 1920, they've already risen 51% from last year's revenue, and the holiday and hotel segment, which is the high margin business, has been growing 457% year on year. And they've got almost 88 lakh customers booking flights, hotels, holiday, and other products. It's an end-to-end bouquet of end-to-end OTA which they run. And they also have got a B2B arm, and where they've got almost 70,000 travel agents who use their platform, and 56,000 are already registered with them. So it's a huge company. I know they tend to be a little low profile, but while they're now going at IPO, I am extremely hopeful and extremely optimistic looking at the numbers they have been doing. And it's been an amazing story, Rikant. If you just hear it, and I'm sure many of us would love to hear it from you, that how you build this massive company from the scratch without any external funding, which is a first of its kind globally as well. Even if you look globally, you will not find many companies of this size who haven't raised any external funding. So hats off to you, Rikant. You still haven't got a lot of white hair on your head. So, I am personally very
Lot of
inspired.
gone on my.
So I am very inspired to hear your story. So with this, a warm welcome to you, Rikant. And I know Nutan is also here from your team. So
Yeah.
welcome to both of you. And I'm going to hand it over to Ashish when he's going to have a conversation with you. And I'm going to sit back and enjoy my coffee. Over
Thank
to
you
you,
so much,
Ashish.
Karthik.
Right, Rikant, let's enjoy our coffee while we talk.
Yep. Thanks. Same to you.
Now, I've got very specific thoughts. Karthik has already narrated the background of the company and yourselves. And I've got some very specific and key pointers. But before I get to them, what do you see as the future of travel?
So first of all, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to thank you and Karthik for having me here in the show. So probably, we all know up till 2020, the travel industry was growing at a CAGR of 50 to 20%. However, 2020 has changed everything. And so we believe that this is the time wherein, every company have to innovate and have to survive and revive their business models as well. So, in contrast to your question, I would wanted to split our analysis on the basis of one of the biggest event which is yet to come, and the world is waiting for. That is, of course, the vaccination. So let's talk about how the travel might look like, before the vaccination, and the travel might look like after the vaccination.
Interesting.
So, Ashish, I believe that before vaccination, that the people may travel more responsibly now. So we have seen the people who have been traveling in the past, they have not been talking about the responsible travel. So but now the people will travel more responsibly. They will take more extreme precautions. So on the basis of this belief, we have certain predictions to be made. So firstly, we believe that people will travel more domestically rather than traveling, in other international markets. So domestic market will also provide them a comfort that they can get any kind of travel assistance whenever they would wanted to have it from a travel agent or from a travel company. If, for an example, somebody felt ill in some parts of the country, they might want to travel back to their hometown, or even they would wanted to get an easy access to the hospitals and their health. So we believe that yes, the people will travel more in domestic, not just because of these two cases, but yeah, we also feel that the people currently even have a fear that even if they travel abroad, they might get quarantined and they will probably not be able to travel back to their home for 14 days or maybe 15 days, whatever is the condition and the policies that particular country is providing on them. So this is the first belief. We believe that the people may start traveling more in domestic sectors. Second, Ashish, I believe that the people may, choose homestays rather than big crowded hotels, because everybody would wanted to specifically stay away from the social. They would wanted to do social distancing and they would wanted to stay away from the other people. So they would rather focus on traveling in the home state rather than traveling in the big crowded hotels. Third thing which I would wanted to inform, and I also believe strongly, is that the people will probably take their own vehicles and go on a shorter duration of holidays rather than taking a longer holidays. If there are any elderlies or any old age people in their home, the people will definitely wish to hire a caravan, or probably they will hire a RV. So these are few of the things which we believe, the travelers or maybe the passengers will probably do before the vaccination is developed. Now, what if the vaccination comes on? So we believe that, after the vaccination, immediately, the international travel will have a surge, because many of the countries who have actually sealed their borders will open up the borders for the people to come in and then probably have been travel in their country. But those countries will be only able to do it once they have vaccinated all of their citizens and they don't have any fear of COVID-19. So I think post vaccination and after 4 to 6 months, we probably see everything getting back to normal. I don't see that we have to worry in a very big time. So, but yes, after vaccination, 4 to 6 months, I feel that we will probably get back to the numbers which we had in 2018. But it will take at least a year or 2 years to get back again to 2020 numbers, which we probably think would be another major breakthrough. So
Right.
this is, I think, would be the way going ahead, Ashish.
Yeah, I like the analogy of pre-vaccine and post-vaccine. I haven't had too many discussions around that analogy, but I come back, and there's nothing I would disagree with what you said, but I'll come into the domestic, right? And I've, on the various panels everywhere, I've had people making statements about domestic surge and domestic will grow, and of course short distances, etc. All that is fine,
Yeah.
but if you look at the overall domestic market pre-COVID, we've had about, give or take, 40, 45 million unique visitors, as we called it, who've been traveling, bundled with air or otherwise. But if you look at the capacity overall in the country, I mean, there is a need, obviously, this numbers will fall in the immediate future. And if it falls, that 40 may become 10 or 5, or whatever it may become, it's for you and me to guess.
Yeah.
So therefore, we need to, from the bottom of the pyramid or somewhere, create numbers which matches these demand supply situation. So if you look at um, the total air travel was 140 million, but the daily coach traffic in the country is almost 6 to 7 million, which could be also state transport. Fine. The total rail passengers are 23 million, out of which only 10%, which is 1.3 million, are hosted on IRCTC website and available to be sold online, which of course 85% of that do gets sold online. The rest is queuing up in the windows, etc. And so therefore my thought goes around where we address the domestic to grow. I haven't had people really give me a very clear strategy as to what is required to create the demand so that it touches everybody's life together. You have something to share with us?
Yes, so Ashish, first of all, I would want you to see, the total market size of the people who have been traveling abroad. So very recently, I have come across with one of the research which happened inside India. So it mentioned that approximately rupees 1.65 lakh crores has been spent by the Indians, who has traveled abroad, probably either for their work or for their leisure.
Right.
So this particularly potential of money, wherein everybody currently is talking about getting a liquidity in India and taking a government support, and I believe that this is one of the things which the people should realize, that currently India needs a rebooting system, and for that they probably would have to travel in a domestic market rather than thinking on any international destination, even post COVID as well. So even after the vaccination is over, so I think the people will should have to think that they should be traveling more in a domestic market to reboot our economy. So this is one of the things which I believe the people should probably think on getting ahead. Next thing, what I believe, and we all should believe that, we are humans, right? And, we are actually the creatures with a reckless and a short time memory, right? So I believe as soon as the vaccine is out, right, the people would go out and will travel. So look at the China, right? So
Right.
they are currently swamped with the tourists when coming and when traveling in their domestic sectors. Look at the recent example even, right? So the recent example of the people, lining up in front of the wine shops even after having a big hailstorm.
Yeah.
That's the recent video which anybody can figure out. The people really have a very reckless memory. They really would wanted to have a short-term gains, and that's what we all humans are.
Right.
So this is also one of the big things I would wanted to inform, that yes, the government has taken something into the consideration. Like, that the government has actually inputted 5% TCS on any of the international travel which may happen post 1st April 2020. This was something which was passed by the government and have been approved by the government before even the COVID pandemic started. So I think if we talk about the domestic tourism, this will also encourage the tourists to travel in Indian destination rather than traveling in any international destination. You also take an example, and our honorable Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi, right? He has also advocated back in 2019. He mentioned that everybody should travel in domestic destination, and they should travel at least 15 domestic travel sectors by 2022.
Yeah.
It's a very good time for us to take that particular suggestion very, very seriously. And we as an Ease My Trip, we have even been promoting that in a very, very wide way. So we have even created a lot of campaigns during the lockdown, and we have taken a pledge from almost, I think, 200,000 people. We have taken a pledge, and we have asked them that they should focus on having at least two domestic destinations to be covered before getting abroad again post the vaccination even.
Right. Right. Interesting.
Okay.
So, talking about, I pick up the word campaign from your discussion. Obviously, as far as Ease My Trip as a model is concerned, you've had your marketing rupee spent in various directions, be it TV, be it print, be it digital, social media. Across the market, do you see this money being spent differently now to create the demand, or you think the mix may remain the same?
So I think, as an industry, there would definitely be a heavy cost cuts in the marketing strategies. That's because, it's currently a question for all of us to survive, right? However, I would wanted to tell you that, as Ease My Trip, we was never heavy on ATL marketing. So we have always focused on, publicizing and marketing eSmart Trip to the users and to the end users by different other verticals and with a very, very cost-effective mediums. And that is also one of the things which made us profitable. So currently, eSmart Trip is the third largest travel portal, and we are the only OTA which has been bootstrapped and profitable since the beginning. So since lockdown, right? So Ashish, we have been focusing a lot to improvise our products. We have been focusing a lot to improvise our customer service experience. So for that, even a lot of our product team members, a lot of our customer care team members have been currently focusing, and they've been working even more harder than ever before. So some of the things which I would even wanted to highlight in terms of the customer service and the products which we have built. One is that, we have actually deployed the changes, that the airlines policies have been quite dynamic
Right.
since lockdown. And every day you listen a new thing coming from the airlines, or probably from the hotels, or probably from different suppliers across the travel industry. So what we have actually done is we have deployed all airlines policies in our system through our technology, in our mobile application and in our website, to help the users to get a real-time interface and to get a best user experience. You know, so that is what we did within just 1 hour of getting a notification from the airlines.
Right.
So next thing we have done actually is, that a lot of talk is going around credit shells. How do the people use their credit shells, and how
Sure.
do tech companies enable them to use them? So we as in technology and a travel company, we actually enabled the users to, use their credentials even before the airlines officially launched their APIs. So, we have been working a lot, and, this is something which I would wanted to highlight, that, we even created one of the very, very good viral product. That's what we call as travel trivia. So that's live on our mobile application right now. Through this product, the travelers can actually take a quiz at 1:30 p.m. sharp, and that would be a quiz which is consisting of 15 questions. And if everybody answers that correctly, then the person who is answering it will get straight 1,500 bucks off on his flight ticket, in his hotel tickets, whenever they would want to travel in the future. And it's getting viral currently. So another thing which we have done, Ashish, is actually, to start taking the bookings of air tickets on WhatsApp. That's one of the innovations which nobody has done it in the past. So we were the first company to start taking the booking of air tickets on WhatsApp. The people can instantly book their air tickets on WhatsApp. We are currently working to make it live for the hotels and the bus and the trains as well. So we even have started serving users sitting at our home when, the entire travel industry was going through a pandemic, and, the entire world, I would say. So in that particular case, we have requested all of our employees to stay at their home and start serving the users using the bot which we have developed on WhatsApp. So anybody who is a EaseMyTrip user can come to our WhatsApp bot by typing a message at 9990330 and can start talking to our customer service agent as well. So these are a few of the things which we've been doing, but back into your question. So yes, there will definitely a cut in the marketing expenses, and we're gonna be focusing more on the product side, and that is the key to success. And I feel that that's what each and every company should be focusing upon at this point of time, specifically in the travel
That
industry.
resonates well with me because for years in the industry, I've been wanting to irritate point of experience because the whole experience needs to be redefined, and probably now more in COVID. People would be looking for a better experience at every step, and hopefully data management and algorithms will help it define it better. Um, Now Karthik mentioned about being in the film shooting business. That's another area which has been very dear to my heart to showcase, because we saw the Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge moments for Switzerland, and we've seen what it's done for certain countries. Um, I know the time when I was in the travel industry, I started rather 79, 80. Kashmir was a great destination, and all the Bollywood movies were shot in Kashmir. And suddenly the tourism to Kashmir was amazingly good. Do you see it looking inwards to see and what needs to be done by the government, what needs to be done by all stakeholders to draw them into India?
So, first of all, I would want to specify that, as Karthik has also mentioned, that yes, we have done, a lot of shooting of the movies in different parts of the world. So, one of the latest movie is what we call it as Dash. That is what we shot in London. That is yet to be released. We haven't released it yet
Hmm.
for the obvious reasons. Uh, but yes, coming back to your question that what should government do? So I would want to specify here that, currently, in India, so we don't have any particular, option wherein the government supports the film production companies in terms of giving a rebate. So while if you look at the other countries, I think most of the countries have policy to give 50% rebate whenever a film shooting happens in their own country. So that is what they do, not to probably encourage the people to shoot the film. They probably want the people to come to their country, and that is what they know, that once the film is being produced, the footfall to their countries will definitely get increased. And that's what we see the example, as you also rightly mentioned, about Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. So I think one thing which I believe the government should be probably working upon, or should create a policy, is to have an option to give rebates to the producers. Because currently, if I talk about the film shooting, then sometimes it's even quite cheaper or it is quite economically viable for us to shoot in a different country rather than when shooting in India.
Right.
So, so this is one of the things which I would request government's help. Another thing, which I would wanted to highlight is actually on the permission side. So right now, if we would wanted to shoot a movie, like for an example, in a place like Rajasthan or probably in a city like Delhi or Mumbai, so we have to take a lot of permissions. So there is no single window here in India wherein we can go and we can ask for the permissions from the government. So while in other country they have an option wherein you just go at one place, you ask for anything and everything, and they probably either deny or they'll probably approve your request.
Right. Right.
So I think these two are
Well,
the important things which is required and been actually we would require a government to probably step
right.
in and create some policies around it.
Well, I'm certainly making a note of it and see how we can lobby this because, yeah, with contents like Netflix and all serials coming in, and there are streams all over the world. And
Yeah,
there's a huge NRI population out there, which
yeah.
could probably come to the country rather than normal tourists, which we see. So, therefore, it's a double whammy as far as promotion for India is concerned. Let's just talk for a minute about your IPO. You got delayed, didn't you?
So
You were ready and set to go around, what, 15th March?
yes, you are absolutely right, Ashish. But I would wanted to give some more insights about it. So, prior to Corona, we were in an IPO mode and the entire world knows about it. So we even have concluded meetings with many of the investors based out in India. We have got a great feedback from them. So we were like about to launch an IPO, but unfortunately the COVID-19 pandemic, which nobody have actually imagined, and we call it as unprecedented, has actually come to India, and that's why we have to halt our discussions to raise the money via an IPO. So, but yes, we currently have halted our plans, but not have suspended our plans.
Right.
So I would say that yes, we currently don't wish to go to the market because we all know that the valuations in the travel industry
Yeah.
has gone down drastically, and the market is much volatile, right? So we would wanted to wait for the right time, and thankfully, SEBI has actually did the right thing for everybody currently being there in India. So they have increased the time to file their IPO from 12 months to 18 months. So we still have the time, to file our IPO till May 2021. We can use the same DRHP document which we have
Right.
filed was approved by them. So this is what we believe that yeah we still have time, and I think that to be very very optimistic, in another 8 to 12 months, as I mentioned before, also the things will get normalized, and then we'll probably get back again.
Well, probably a case for you to look at some acquisitions strategically at the moment so that you can build a value, greater value when you go for your IPO. But that's your thought internally. You know the gaps
Yeah.
which you want to plug in. Um, you work very closely with international tourism boards, I'm told. And I have actually seen you in certain promotions, your company, EMT. What is your message? How do you want the international tourism boards to look at India, which were obviously very buoyant about India? So are you buoyant about India? But, what would you advise them in one line or two lines they should do?
So Ashish, prior to COVID-19, we see, a lot of tourism boards have been eyeing on Indian tourists to get them to their countries. So, we feel that yes, they have done a lot of innovation in marketing, and they have actually done a lot of things to cater and to market into Indian tourists. But I would wanted to suggest, all the tourism boards that they should keep eyeing on Indian travelers, because yes, once the vaccination is over, the tourists probably will wanted to get into a destination of their choice, or probably they would wanted to get themselves into a country where they would wanted to travel or get onto an holiday. So according to me, I think that yes, the tourism board should be very, very much active uh, uh, after the vaccination has been completed to the citizens been living in their country. And yes, currently I would not think any particular reason of any tourism board to do any marketing campaigns right now in India. But yeah, after the vaccination, they should probably start marketing good things about their country into
Right,
the.
right, right. Maybe they can still keep a customer connect, so to say, in some manner with the Indian market to keep their presence alive in the manner. Great.
Yeah.
So I think we're pretty much out of time and covered. I think Karthik may have some questions from the audience, which I'll hand it back to him. Over to you,
Sure.
Karthik.
Thanks, Ashish. And great hearing you, Rikant. And I'm sure many of our audience members are also saying that among many sessions they have attended, for the first time they have seen someone talking so positively and not asking government for stimulus packages, but specific requests around policy intervention. So I think that's very encouraging for the entire business community that there is still, ray of hope, and we shouldn't look to government to just hand out dollars, but actually do some specific intervention. And I also loved your idea of using this time to use AI, use WhatsApp to increase convenience for the customers and not be held back by what's happening right now. So we've got a couple of questions. I'll just try to consolidate them.
Yeah.
One set of questions I'm getting is that do you see a lot of M&A activity happening right now with a lot of smaller to medium sized agents or smaller OTAs wanting to merge or exit this business because they're not able to sustain themselves?
Mhm.
And second set of questions I'm getting from people is that on the corporate side, what do you see? We haven't talked about it, and I know you have some exposure also on the corporate side. That how do you see that market emerging out? Because a lot of corporates are now openly saying that they would not be encouraging travel for their employees, and they are happy with remote working situation. So how do you see the corporate demand picking up in the near future?
So, Karthik, I think in terms of corporate travel, yes, the lockdown has actually really taught us how to do the meetings virtually rather than doing physically by going into, one of the location of the particular corporate or particular business. But yes, I feel that this probably will continue till the time the vaccination is not out and the vaccination is not being developed and being vaccinated to all the people living in the country. So yes, there will be an impact in the corporate travel going forward, and the people or maybe the travel companies who are currently been providing the services to the companies based out in all across India would probably would be preferring to give them an option to book by themselves if and if the corporate is really required to travel. So, yep, I think post vaccination, there will be, the things which will get back to the normal because we're gonna leave everything and we have a short term memory. That's what I think it should be the case.
Right.
And do you see the M&A side? So that's the second part of the question. Do you see a lot of M&A happening right now? I know Ashish also alluded to that fact that are you also, without getting into specifics, but do you see a lot of, interesting opportunities at very stressed valuations available right now? Or do you think,
So
there is
currently,
nothing right available
are
right now?
we are evaluating few companies wherein we see that there is a potential partnership available and there's a potential availability of e-smart trip to be there so as we can actually help them to grow as well. So we are evaluating few companies, uh, but in terms of getting merged with somebody else, then we would be the last company to do it because we feel that yes, we have built a very good business and all the team members been working in eSmart Trip has put in their sweat and blood to get this company onto a level and would wanted to see eSmart Trip getting back onto the shape once the vaccination is over.
Okay, well said. Ashish, do you have any concluding remarks?
Well, I like the analogy about describing pent-up demand of holiday with pent-up need for having a drink and people lining up in the booth shops. Well, with that, good luck to you guys. And I do hope to catch up for real coffee with all three of you
Thank you.
and debate more
Thank
on
you
this.
so much. Cheers.
Thanks.
Take care.
Thanks again for being with us, Srikant. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you in a couple of days with our next session. Till then, stay safe, stay at home. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye. Take care. Thanks, Ashish.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.